We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. We have some news regarding LSU football that you need to hear. At least, I think it's significant news that all LSU fans need to hear. We will get to that first tonight. So some things that we've been working on and tracking down, and some actions are already coming to fruit on one of these things, but some things from behind the scenes that's going on with Brian Kelly and LSU. We will tell you those things tonight. Greg Brooks, the Arkansas DB from the state of Louisiana, commits to LSU from the transfer portal, a nickel corner who had a lot of production at Arkansas. We will touch on him and some good things that he did, some film that we had watched on Greg Brooks and how dynamic he was at Arkansas and what you should expect from Greg Brooks in the slot. And then I'm sure we'll talk some recruiting news and get some questions in there as well. Hashtag Ruffino's Rants. I will go on a little bit of a rant. I understand that most fans are tired of hearing about Ed Orgeron. However, and maybe not so much at Orgeron, but just in general, we're not going to tee off on Ed, but just in general, some things that are going on that have to be fixed and why patience is going to have to be a virtue of sorts. LSU also offering a quarterback today. We'll touch on that in there as well. As we do every Tuesday and Thursday, hashtag Ask Blake. If you have some questions, fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat. We will get to, we'll try to get to as many of them as we can as the show goes on. So fire them in there, hashtag Ask Blake. And we do have the Lady Tigers that are tipping off now. Tipping off now. We will get to that as well. But we do have some breaking news. Noah Cain, the running back who had committed to Penn State and was formerly of IMG Academy, Noah Cain has committed to the Tigers. Boom. Boom. Noah Cain has committed to the Tigers. That's huge. Say my prayer. Noah Cain tweets out, "Say my prayers so I'm protected as soon as I walk in," says Noah Cain, and then he puts out a picture that he is committed to the Tigers. So Brian Kelly going right after it, as we do have some breaking news that's going on here. Look, this is what we're going to talk about, some things behind the scenes. Didn't know that Noah Cain was going to be coming that quick, but there we go. All right. Just need to tweet this thing out to a couple more groups. This is why I need a assistant during the show. We'll get one. All right. So we do got a lot to get into. That's huge. That's absolutely humongous. Noah Cain committing to LSU. Look, got Louisiana ties. We'll touch on him as well because we do got a lot to get into. We got a lot to get into. All right, let's get to a couple comments before we get started. Ray Ponif on YouTube says, "Boom, shakalaka." Mo Hippa on YouTube says, "Holy shiz." Greg Deloitte says, hashtag Ask Blake, does LSU go after Arkansas DB Devin Bush? We'll see. We'll talk on that. Pooh Bear says, let's effing go. Yes, indeed. And Tiki Tac Taco says, Frank Wilson is doing work. We're going to touch on that right after the break. We got a lot to get into, and maybe some sourcing and some, not maybe breaking news on this sort, but we're going to give you some sourcing, some things that we're hearing around LSU. One of those things has broken here tonight as Noah Cain is going to be coming to LSU. All right, let's do this. We got to reset. This is why I love coming on the show at 7 o'clock. Always some good stuff. Always some fantastic stuff. All right. Everybody on Facebook, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups. Share to all of your social media pages. We would greatly appreciate you for doing that. If you're on YouTube or if you're not on YouTube, we are doing a $300 gift card giveaway. That's right, $300 gift card giveaway if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll do a drawing at the end of the month. We are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, $300 for 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is powered by our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. There's a lot of viewers on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe and notification bell. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, we greatly appreciate you for doing that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and rate us there as well. All right, lots to get into. Let's break this down. Let's pay some bills, and then we'll get right to it. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and betonline.ag. Guys, with 64 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Or go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now. I am taking, if you remember, we were super hot during the season, during the NFL season, placing our bets. There was one point that we were 19-1 on our bets. I'm going to give you one right here, right now. So I'm going to be taking the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase. But the only place I'm taking it, it's betonline.ag. Go over there today. Use that Believe 50 AYS podcast tab so that you can get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Yes, indeed. Teresa Michael says, ain't that the truth? TMZ said, bro, this man Brian Kelly going crazy in the portal. He is. Getting Fouché, getting Greg Brooks, getting Miles Frazier. Guys, I don't think people fully understand and remember Miles Frazier, the offensive tackle, who was an All-American. Guys, he was a freshman All-American. Now you go up and get Noah Cain, who LSU really tried to get in their recruiting class some time ago. But Noah Cain did have some success at Penn State as a freshman. Played in 10 games, 84 rushes, 443 yards, 5 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. And then he only played in one game in 2020. Had some nagging injuries on that front. But last year, played in 12 games with 106 carries, 350 yards. Had 4 touchdowns, but was able to receive or be a receiver more with 19 catches, 114 yards, 6 yards per catch, no touchdowns. But he did do a lot of productive things from the line of scrimmage from a Penn State offense that was really, really bad. Very, very, very bad. So Noah Cain, a running back that is extremely talented. You know, the comp that I had for him in 2019 was someone like Alfred Morris. So one cut back, can catch the ball pretty well. He's going to be able to do well. And this is the kind of back that that Brian Kelly and Frank Wilson really like. If you go down the list of running backs that Frank Wilson and Brian Kelly had on their teams and are surrounded by them, Jeremy Hill, one cut back, Terrence McGee, one cut back, et cetera, et cetera. The list can go on. Alfred Blue, one cut back. Some of them being a little bruisers at times. Some of them had a little bit more speed, but they always had that one cut ability of making and stopping on a dime, finding the hole, getting north and south, and being very productive. That is more of who and what Noah Cain is. But that is just a very small glimpse. I mean, and we saw earlier Greg Brooks from Arkansas. See, I'm very intrigued by Greg Brooks, Louisiana native. Talk about experience and talk about playing in meaningful games. A guy that's played in 33 games, 111 tackles, guys, in 33 games is really good for a corner, and especially a corner that plays in the slot. 4 interceptions to me is, especially at that position, is pretty key. Had interceptions against Matt Corral, Will Rogers from Mississippi State. Really like playing against those Mississippi schools. The biggest thing for me was this, is as a sophomore, Greg Brooks had a pick six and took that sucker 79 yards for a TD. Athletic, speed, quickness, mobility, and he'll come up and tackle. I think Greg Brooks' greatest ability for I don't want to say a smaller corner, because 6 foot, 185 pounds necessarily from a human perspective is not small, but as a smaller corner, he will really come up and light your ass up. I like Greg Brooks a lot. Had 8 pass deflected in his career at Arkansas, and also had 2 forced fumbles and fumble recoveries at Arkansas last year. So I really like the addition to Greg Brooks as well. But so we preface all of that. And everybody who's an LSU fan, do us a favor. Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Hit the like button, hit the share. You're on Twitter, hit the retweet, because every LSU fan needs to know this, because we're about to give you some sourcing. So I will tell you this. Since Brian Kelly has been at LSU, there has been a complete 180 from Ed Orgeron and his era and Ed Orgeron and his staff. What do I mean by that? Even if you're just a moderate fan, everything that went on with Ed Orgeron, you pretty much knew or heard the rumor of what was going on with Ed Orgeron. Now with Brian Kelly and this coaching change, it has changed that. Not a lot of things have been leaked. Not a lot of things are, common knowledge to the normal fan. You have to go in there. You have to dig. You have to use the resources that you have, if you're in the media, etc., to go in there and find some things and things that are going on. So it led me to this, because I, although was still getting information and finding out things, the one thing that I wanted to know is, what is Brian Kelly doing to change the culture? I don't want to, and this is part of the Ruffino's rants, and I don't want to beat up on Ed Orgeron, but I think that it's safe to assume from LSU fans that our culture around the program was really bad the last 2 seasons. Very bad. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. We all know the reasons why. The culture was bad around the program. One thing that is for sure, and I'm talking about 1,000% sure. Not only are coaches telling me this, but players are telling me this. It's one thing to go to school to play ball. It's another thing to go to school to get an education. And the one thing that I'm really starting to love, not like, but love about Brian Kelly is this. This team will be disciplined. This team in 2022, there are no missteps. Now, we are all human. We're going to have some form of missteps. What I mean is, you better not show up late to class. You better not be sitting in the back row. You better let the teachers know that you're here to get an education and learn. You show up late. You do anything wrong and undisciplined, your ass is grass. Now, there had been some rumors around this, and there have been some rumors that Brian Kelly, even before coming to LSU, was a very strong disciplinarian. Guys, he is bringing those same principles that he had at Notre Dame, he had at Cincinnati, he had at Grand Valley State, etc., and he is bringing them to LSU. Now, you might be saying, well, Blake, that doesn't fit the culture. Well, Blake, that does not fit Louisiana, more of a laid-back state. We like to party. We like to have fun. You do realize the last time that something like this happened, there was a guy by the name of Nick Saban who came in and enacted those same type of principles. Not only did he enact those same type of principles, we saw guys disciplined on the field. Let me say this. As a guy who played, and I'm sure a lot of you have played football, or whether it be pee-wee, junior high, high school, whatever, and even if you didn't, sports teaches you a lot of things. And Brian, what you do off the field translate to what you do all on the field. Why do coaches always say practice is key? Because if you practice well, you're going to play well. If you don't practice well, you're not going to play well. There's a reason why Nick Saban is the greatest of all time, because of the emphasis that he puts into practice and the discipline that he puts around his program. Now, let me say this, and this is going to affect him. I don't know if I want to say affect people, or it's not going to affect you, but I think that you need to understand this. I had a coach today, or maybe not a coach, but someone inside the program. Let me just put it that way. Someone inside the program, and I'm just going to kind of, because I wrote it down from our conversation in the text. He told me, whatever. To the great people of Louisiana, I don't think LSU is going to miss Louisiana recruits like they used to. I don't think that Brian Kelly is going to pass over kids from the state of Louisiana and their talent. Let me tell you why. I was told today that there is a belief that around the program that Ed Orgeron and staff misevaluated a lot of players. Not only did they misevaluate a lot of players, they don't even understand why they didn't have the players on their board in recruiting. We are seeing some of those players come to LSU. I don't want to say LSU was tampering. I don't, but look, things happen around college football that aren't by the book always. But why do you think you're seeing so many kids from the state of Louisiana and other SEC schools go into the portal and come to LSU? Why do you see guys like Noah Cain, who has Louisiana ties, go into the portal and now come to LSU? The emphasis will be a lot like what Nick Saban did. He doesn't give two Rudy Poos, meaning Brian Kelly does not give two Rudy Poos of what 247 says, or what Rivals says, or what I say, or what anybody says about talent. He's going to lock this state down. And if you're a 3-star kid that was misevaluated, Brian Kelly doesn't care about that. He's not going to star chase. Now, the Ruffino's rants is this, and we'll get to some comments. The Ruffino's rants is this. I think Ed Orgeron star chased. Not even so much as thinking that he star chased. We kind of know that. When you have Greg Brooks doing this in the SEC, 111 tackles, 4 interceptions, 1 pick six, 8 passes defended, 5 of them being in one season. Teams stop throwing the ball in your general direction. 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. Why is that kid doing that in the SEC from the state of Louisiana at another program? Why? Everybody misevaluates. Hell, the great Mike Scarborough tells me all the time, being in recruiting, you're going to miss on guys. That's okay. But when you're in a recruiting battle and you go and recruit and you put eyeballs on a guy like a very good talent, very talented defensive tackle, and a kid from the opposing side, an offensive lineman, goes out there and starts dominating this 5-star defensive tackle, and that kid's going to ULL and it's not going to LSU. Hey, Big Daddy, that kid for 4 quarters legitimately just dominated a 5-star. Why haven't we offered him? Oh, by the way, that kid, Osiris Torrance, is going to be on campus at LSU very soon. If you're wondering how I know Osiris Torrance was misevaluated, because I watched him his entire high school career. I saw him go up against 4 and 5 stars defensive linemen and dominate them. Now Brian Kelly's writing that wrong. So, in essence, I want everybody to understand this. If kids that are coming to LSU are not disciplined and focused and want to play football and get an education, they're not going to be here. You can like it, you can love it, or you can hate it. But when you see teams win national titles that have that same discipline and focus, spare me the, oh my God, Brian Kelly's too hard on these kids. You think Saban ain't hard on kids? You think Kirby Smart ain't hard on kids? Every kid at Georgia that went up on that podium said, three things, whether it be N'Kobe Dean, whether it be Stetson Bennett, whoever it was, said Coach Smart always taught discipline and focus to us. That's what wins you national titles, albeit you have to have talent. I understand that. All right, let's get to a couple of these comments. Tyson on Facebook says, how you doing, Blake? Tell like is go Tigers. LSU going to be back on track this season. I believe so. What you got, dog? Where's your mama? Where's your mama? Come here. My son Benjamin found himself a fishing pole. Yeah, it's your pole. With your little country accent. Who taught you that country accent? Come here. Come show him. Come here. Put it down. Come see. Come see. Come see. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Ah, yeah. So they don't think I'm just talking to nobody. Horror. Go find your mama and come tell her to close daddy's door. Go. If you don't know, that's my little son, Benjamin. Brandon Reese says, can't believe how many Bama players are in the transfer portal. I can. Nobody's immune to it. I can. Nobody's immune to players being in the portal. Jacob says on Facebook, exactly, Edo, star chase because he didn't know how to evaluate players the same way he didn't know how to evaluate coaches. He let others do that for him. Joe Brady was referred by the Saints. Peets was referred by Brady. Well, yeah, and that's the point, man. He star chased. Jason Baker says, what you're saying is about Brian Kelly reminds me of the words of Bear Bryant. God first, family, school. Then let's see if we can win some ball games. Absolutely. Jason Morgan says, all the Rudy Poos that can't understand the dead period needed to be quiet. Kelly is doing work. Well, not only that, I mean, there are some things that some hypotheses that I have about why LSU was so quiet on things. Guys, Frank Wilson doing what he's doing in recruiting. Why do you think Frank Wilson's coming back? Do you think all of these hires and in the recruiting world and all of these kids that are coming to LSU is not because Frank Wilson has Brian Kelly's attention and ear, and Brian Kelly is letting his associate head coach go get him good players? That is what good coaches do. Nick Saban does not go on the recruiting trail 24/7. He puts really damn good people around him and let them do the work, and then he comes in and closes. Newsflash. That's exactly what Brian Kelly does. It's exactly what Brian Kelly does. It's no different. Absolutely no different. All right. Bruce Steele says, Osiris. Yeah, that kid can play, man. That kid can play. Why, and I told them what was it, 2019? Was it 2018 maybe? I was like, man, that kid could play. And they didn't think he could. And that's on them. Gerald Hollyfield says, but don't miss intentionally because 247 won't 4-star him. Yeah, I mean, don't. I never understood that. I never understood that. Lyle Johnson says, Edo cared too much about recruiting rankings. I agree with that. And that's my point. So when Brian Kelly goes to the podium and says, I'm going to lock down the state, shit you can do about it. Not only is he trying to lock down the state, he's also going outside the state to get those kids back in the state. Guys, you're going against Joe Fouché and you're going against Greg Brooks next or this upcoming season. If those kids don't go into the portal, if those kids don't come here, it's not going to stop either. Like, let's not get this twisted. It's not going to stop either. So I'm going to give a scenario here, and I'm not even going to go to this year's recruiting rankings, and I'll even use, let's see, LSU football recruiting 2023. I'm not even going to use this year because I don't think that it's fair for Brian Kelly. But going to the state of Louisiana, let's see how many. Like, you have 15 4-stars or 5-stars in the state, but Tyler Bailey, a kid from Ponchatoula, big-time defensive lineman, about 6'3", about 290. Okay, seen him in person. Does that kid get an LSU offer? Ryan Robinson, corner. Edna Carr, does he get an offer? Really fast. Really fast corner. Trey Holly from Union Parish. Caleb Jackson. Harvey Broussard from St. Martinville, does he get an offer? Reese Mooney, who's the quarterback at Denham Springs, he committed to Vandy. The last time a kid from the state of Louisiana was committed to Vanderbilt University, his name was Jack Besh before you flipped him. Guys, this man almost let Jack Besh and Ed Orgeron, this man almost let Jack Besh go to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt. Could you have imagined Jack Besh at Vanderbilt? Lord Jesus, have mercy. Look, man, you better have, all I'm saying, your education's going to be a big thing too. You better not miss classes. And I know that there's some players, I talk to them, we DM, text, whatever, that watch the show. Listen to me. Do not miss class without an excuse. Your girlfriend wants to go down, your girlfriend wants to go get lunch. You got 11:30, 12 o'clock class. Don't miss it. Don't do it. You're not going to be able to get away. You're not going to be able to get away with a lot of the things that you're doing. PJ Clemens says, was Ed Orgeron chasing when he went after Joe Burrow? I understand what you're trying to say, and this is the reason I bring up this up. But to PJ Clemens, in my notes in this handy-dandy notebook, in the recruiting classes from 2019 to 2021, guys that should be juniors right now, of the roughly, and you really can't say 2021 yet, or really, because those things are really, some of those kids are still going to transfer, but I'll even give you the number. From the 2019 to the 2021 class, LSU has 28 players that are no longer on the roster due to transfer portal, draft, etc. 28. You want to know why you have roster problems? Because of the 2019 class and guys leaving and not playing, because of the 2020 class of guys leaving and not playing, and some in the 2021 class are not here anymore. Not here anymore. How many guys, you do realize that there were two kids that committed and signed to LSU, the big offensive lineman from West Virginia and the tight end from Ocean Springs, Jalen Sheed, however you say it, that were at LSU for one day, worked out for one day and left. You have to evaluate that. Now, I'll give them a break because you can't go in home during COVID and all that kind of stuff. I understand it. But you gotta find out things like that. Did you not talk to his coach? What did his coach say? So, yes, sure. Congratulations. Joe Burrow was a 3-star. Sure. He's also an Ohio State quarterback that they desperately needed. And Cody Orgeron, who plays quarterback, had to tell Ed to go get him because he's really talented. Matt Guidry says a lot of wrongs are being righted. New beginnings is always refreshing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jason Morgan says the great you talking about Hines and McLaughlin. I don't know what you mean. Derek Cropper. Oh, I'm saying that right on YouTube says update on Harold Perkins. I heard LSU's turned up the heat. I've heard LSU's turned up the heat. I said it on Twitter Spaces last night. Now it's coming out and all this kind of stuff, and people are going to say, "Oh, Blake Ruffino's taking this from somebody else." We recorded Twitter Spaces from last night. Go listen to them. LSU's turning up the heat. Frank Wilson turned up the heat on Harold Perkins. I don't know if they're going to get him or not. And what I mean by turning up the heat, meaning they're trying to get him in this class. So is Florida. So is A&M, obviously. So is LSU. I do feel comfortable that LSU is going to or looking like they will get the last visit from Harold Perkins when signing day comes around. So I do like that. Ann says good education should be important. That's true. Any of you got that score on the lady the lady basketball game? Somebody hit me up with that score. Brandon Reese says hashtag ask Blake Osiris Torrance was great size, 6'5", 335. Which position on the O-line does he play? Offensive guard. So Chasen Hines enters the draft. If you can get Osiris Torrance, he immediately fills that role. I think that if Osiris, the kid from ULL that's in the portal, were to go in the NFL draft, I'm going to give a very liberal draft grade. I would say he goes no later than the fifth round. So, and that's on the offensive line. And look, any draftable guy on the offensive line, I don't care if they're the seventh round. I don't care if they're the first round. Give them to me. Obviously, you want all first rounders, sure. But I would also assume too, if and Brian Kelly is a closer. In this, a lot of times in recruiting, but he's going to point to two guards that are in the NFL right now that are all pros. Probably and arguably the best two offensive guards in the NFL went to Notre Dame, and Quentin Nelson and Zach Martin. One plays left guard, the other plays right guard. I would spin that all day long. Look how many first-round picks we've had. Look how many kids in the NFL we have playing offensive line. And he's going to do that. He's certainly going to do that. Lee Lattimore says, where's the Twitter Spaces? On Twitter? I mean, Lee, we post them. I posted it on the AYRU Series Sports thread. Just go down the news feed on our page, and you should see it. But we do one every now and then. Y'all should go come check it out. Chris English says, he's a third rounder. I'm being very liberal. I'd always like to undershoot than overshoot. Lamar Williams, big pressure, says those Twitter Spaces recordings need to be deleted. LOL. Well, pressure, you be saying some crazy stuff in there, boy. Don't be saying no craziness up in there. I said something funny last night, but God, dog, man, leaving his draws up in there. Curtis says, think we'll get that safety from Ponchatoula back. We're talking about Jacoby Matthews. I think there's a good chance. I think there's a damn good chance. Look, they're turning up the heat in recruiting. They're 1,000% turning up the heat in recruiting. Look, a lot of people say a lot of things about all right, I thought we had some more breaking news. God, dog, that'd be crazy if we did. Forgot what I was saying. Oh, Jacoby Matthews. Look, a lot of people say a lot about Frank Wilson, but Frank Wilson's recruiting his ass off. Good for Brian Kelly to let him do it. Guys, there's a reason that, again, this is why a competent staff freaking matters. You know, Brian Polian, who is your special teams coordinator and recruiting coordinator, put on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, got LSU to make him a graphic saying, hey, if you're in the transfer portal and you want to come to LSU and potentially win national titles, come on down. By the way, here's some transfer guys that we've had in the portal. Tight end Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son, Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy winner, Colt Tracy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, we have a good track record of transfers getting drafted and going into the NFL and playing and winning and going and making it into the playoffs and potentially one day being an MVP at quarterback. Gage says on YouTube, hashtag Ask Blake, any chance Adam Miller makes it back? I don't know that. Man, ACL is a funny thing, brother. I mean, what is he at? Like 4 or 5 months? Man, if he comes back in 6 months, that'd be damn near a miracle. That'd be damn near a miracle. Jesse on YouTube says, I'm loving the culture change. It creates winning atmosphere. Seems these double-digit transfers we're going to get don't mind it either. No, they don't mind it either. Because you know why? They're coming from the same structure. You can be a disciplinarian as a coach and still love your players. I would even make the argument that you love your players more for teaching them the right way and not letting them go and gallivant and do anything. I'm a very player-friendly person. I've said it on this show many of times. Very player-friendly. I'm also not very lenient on coaches for letting anybody do whatever they want. Miss class, you're going to get in trouble. Not saying Ed wasn't doing that, but Jesus Christ. Got more kids ineligible academically. You got to, I mean, how does that happen? You know who it's not going to happen under? Brian Kelly. The John Emery situation is not going to happen unless a kid royally makes mistakes. It's not going to happen. Chance Rogers says, hashtag Ask Blake, anything on Eric Reed, DB from Auburn? No, I don't have anything on Eric Reed. Got to be honest. Nothing. I don't have anything on him. New LSU jersey on YouTube since it's $9.99 via Super Chat. He says, fans look at stars too because they want BK to get all of these former 5 stars that hit the portal that hasn't produced than to get 2 through 4 stars that's been productive at other schools. I don't care what star he is. I don't care what star he is. I don't care if he's a 1 star, half a star, 2 stars, 77 stars. If that kid can play, go get him. And thank you, LSU, new LSU jersey for the Super Chat. Thank you very much. The Lady Tigers, Teresa says, is up 35-22. Damn that Kim Mulkey, boy. Damn that Kim Mulkey. BJ Thompson says, record all those Twitter spaces. Blake, we need more of those Rufino sauce. It's in there, brother. Justin on YouTube says, hashtag Ask Blake, are all the official hired coaches now with the program? No. Not counting House, who is still coaching with the Chiefs. No, you still have a wide receivers coach that's out there. I'm assuming that's going to be sooner rather than later. Let me just say this. We have our press release ready to go. Curtis says, unless he Derrick Henry, I don't know about that one, my guy. Who are you talking about? Rick on YouTube says, LSU's a great place to get exposure on a national stage, ? Heck yeah. And I know you're being sarcastic. Eddie says, if LSU is paying Brian Kelly all that money, let him do his job. Go Tigers. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Everybody, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups. If you're on YouTube, don't forget we are doing the $300 gift card giveaway. So go subscribe, and we'll put your name in the drawing at the end of the month. We have to get to 3,000 though for that to happen. But yeah, go subscribe now. All right, let's do this. Let's take a very quick break. Very, very, very quick break, and then we'll get right back to it. Get all of your questions. Fire your questions inside of the Rudy Crew chat, and we will get to them. But let's pay some bills. We got to pay bills. Got to keep the lights on, man. Got to keep the lights on. Got to talk about our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm and our good friends at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, you might know that State Farm agent Carol Foss has great service. Here's your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana and beyond. So call State Farm agent Carol Foss today at 985-395-4300. That's 985-395-4300 for all of the rates on auto, home, and life insurances. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, you have issues due to Hurricane Ida. You need some more funding for things that happen to or around your home. Call the Drake Williams Law Firm today for a free consultation. The only thing you have to do is mention AYS, and they will do that for you. 985-386-7600, 985-386-7600, or the drakewilliamslawfirm.com. All right, let's get going. Let's get going, dog. Justin on Facebook says Citizen is going to be a dog, though. Impact day 1. All right, Rafino rant time. Guys and girls. We have to stop saying, and Justin, this is not on you. This is a multitude of people. We have to stop saying that freshmen are impact players day 1. There are some of those that are day 1 impact guys. Sure. Those guys are at the very tippy top. Very, very tippy top. Generational type of talents. We have to be careful with how we say this guy is a day 1 impact guy. Those guys the people that are like that are Leonard Fournette, Chase Young, Jadeveon Clowney, etc. You can go down the list. Go Calvin Thibodeau, who trashed Alabama and Southern academics. By the way, Thibodeau, stop that. You made yourself look like a damn fool. If you missed that, go type in Calvin Thibodeau. He was on with Joel Klatt. It's freaking crazy what he said. Generational talents historically are day 1 impact guys. We got to be careful with that, man. We put too much on these kids way too often. Way, way too often. August Theodore says, have you heard anything about Devin Bush out of Landry Walker on New Orleans? I have not. Not yet. Little Dude says, give me a shout out, Blake. Come on, bro. Why y'all coming in here wanting shout outs? T-Mac Sanchez says, linebacker Dante Starks told me he's coming back to LSU. Breaking news. Per T-Mac Sanchez. T-Mac Sanchez says Dante Starks is coming back to LSU. Ross Simon says, Blake, so people know, what was Marcus Spears' star rating? He's my age, but don't remember. I think he was I don't remember. Let's look this up. Marcus Spears recruiting LSU. 5-star. Marcus Spears was 7th in the nation according to 247 from University Lab, number 3 defensive tackle in the country. How are you the number 3 defensive tackle in the country and you're 7th overall nationally? Who was in that class? Good googly moogly. Oh, okay. Never mind. Sean Cody, Tommy Harris, and then Marcus Spears. Damn. You know what's crazy is Marquise Hill was a part of that class too. Dude, LSU had 2 5-star defensive tackles from the state of Louisiana, one in Baton Rouge and one in New Orleans. How nuts is that? How nuts is that? That 2001 recruiting class had Ben Wilkerson, Michael Clayton, Andrew Whitworth, Joseph Adai. LSU was ranked 2nd in the nation in recruiting that year. That's nuts. Nick Saban, bro. Nick Saban locking that state down. Donnie says, hashtag ask Blake, any news on if LSU is going to clean house and compliance department? They should. And I don't like calling for people to be fired, but damn, they should. Damn it, they should. It's inexcusable at this point, bro. It's inexcusable at this point. Now, I don't know. Derek says or asks on YouTube, says, do you think LSU offers the tight end from Alabama, Billingsley? No. I think that they go after Danny Lewis. They might get another tight end from the portal, but it's not going to be. I do not believe. I'll come out here and say if I'm wrong if I'm wrong, but I don't think they get Jaleel Billingsley from Alabama. I think they go and get Danny Lewis, maybe another kid. But look, Jaleel Billingsley was a disciplinary problem for Nick Saban, and if he's a problem for Saban, he's going to be a problem for Brian Kelly. He's going to be a problem for Brian Kelly. Justin Guillory says, Blake, do you think LSU will get a few linebackers in the portal? We need some backers badly. What's that West kid's name for Virginia? Somebody help me out. I forgot the kid's name. The West kid from Virginia. West Weeks or something like that. I think that there's a strong possibility that they get him. They offered his brother a scholarship today. I think West Weeks is a guy to look out for. And if who was that? YMac on YouTube earlier says he talked to Dante Starks and he said that he's coming back to LSU. He said he was coming back to LSU. So if that's the truth, then you got some depth at backer, man. You still got Micah Baskerville, who's not I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. But yeah, you do have some backers there. I mean, you still got Mike Jones, you still have Baskerville, Greg Penn, Sampa, and others. But you do need some. I mean, look, and just Jared Small return. I mean, hell, Jared Small, the walk-on, was about to be a starter for LSU day one. A starter, guys. I mean, come on. All right. Adam said Chad Lavallee in that class too. I think he might have been. Yeah, rest in peace, Marquise Hill. Absolutely. Shh. Just watch the show, okay? Alvin Landry says Lady Tigers are balling 44-33 at halftime. Absolutely. Yes? Ben, a lot of these people don't know who you are. So what's your name? What? What's your name? What's your name? Hey, how old are you? They can't see you down there, buddy. That's only for Daddy to see. It's only for Daddy. Tell him, hey. Hey, tell him. LSU. 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 Hey, very quickly, why did you tweet from Daddy's account today? What were you trying to tell the people? Were you trying to break some news? Were you trying to break some news today? What were you trying to tell him? Say nothing if it was about Cortez Hankton. I love you. Go find your mama. Ross says, okay, so if Frank does his thing with Harold, he would start. I mean, look, talk about sometimes of generational players. He could be one of them. That kid's really good, man. He's really good. T-Max says Ben is about to tweet again. LOL. I can't leave my laptop open for nothing. That's me. That's bad on me as a parent. I got to learn. I got to get better. Ryan LeBlanc says, there's the real star of the show, Ben Ruffino. Y'all don't even like me, bro. I can tell y'all don't even like me. Pooh Bear says, don't trust him, Blake. He's a hacker. LOL. Wade says, my boy Ben. Chad says, what's up, Big Ben? The champ is here. Yeah, the champ is here. The champ almost broke some news. Gerald says West Weeks. Yeah, it's West Weeks. Or Weeks West. It's not Weeks West. I think it's West Weeks. Ty. This is going to be interesting. I'll give Ty this. Ty on Facebook says, I've been chatting with Dante on Twitter, and he says he's just waiting on his word from LSU. He's eligible immediately. Hashtag Ask Blake. There you go. Dante Starks is a beast, man. He's a beast. I mean, I hate that it went down like that for him. Like, I really hate that it went down like that for him. But, hey, you live and you learn. And look, sometimes when you hit rock bottom, sometimes you come back up to the top, right? Like, you come back up to the top and give that kid a chance. Eric Wright says, Ben Ruffino only tweets facts. Dion Black says, Ben, Mr. Junior Lemon Pepper Stepper. True. Danny Green 225 says, go Gators. How can you be from the 225 and say go Gators? Chris Ingalls says he was telling us about Noah Cain signing. Very much could have been. Curtis says the only one that really confuses me is TDP going pro. Not me, man. Because look, you have a very short shelf life as a running back. I mean, it's not running backs don't play in the league more. I think they only play in the league, really good ones, maybe 8 to 12 years. They don't play in the league 15, 16, 17 years like a guy like Frank Gore. Very short shelf life. Very, very short. So I understand it completely. Bert Gotro says on Facebook, we need to get Pig Cage on the field more next season. The kid is a beast. He did good in run defense. I'll give him that. He did really good in run defense. He did really bad in coverage. He looked lost in coverage. He's got to get better. Ty says, hashtag Ask Blake, who do you think is the next portal guy we get? I hope it's Osiris, but we'll see. Osiris Torrance. We'll see. Tigers Avenue and LSU podcast with the bros says, hashtag Ask Blake, any idea on what quarterbacks they're eyeing? I think you saw one today in the Jordan Allen. Was it Jordan? God, what's that kid's name? Jackson Arnold, excuse me. In reference to other guys that could play now in the portal, no. Now I'm going to say this, and again, I'm not getting on the Miles Brennan train tonight. I can't do it. I will say this: I can confirmed they are at minimum eyeing and keeping their eyes on for another transfer quarterback to come into LSU. I don't care what you say. You can be a homer for Miles Brennan all you want. Regardless of what's going on, you can't trust his injury status or his health. Sorry. I think Miles is one of the more talented quarterbacks that has come through LSU from an art talent standpoint. Really, I do. I think if he's healthy, he could really do some good things. Guys, the reason he couldn't go in the bowl game is, one, he medically wasn't cleared, and number two, he was completely out of shape. Those are his words, not mine. His words, not mine. You're going to have to ask some more. If you don't think Garrett Nussmeier and Walker Howard are ready, then you got to go find one. Robert Law says, hashtag Ask Blake. So far with the changes, what are you most excited about or least excited about? I think the thing, Robert, that I'm most excited about is the culture change, right? Meaning the discipline, the focus, the intensity. You know, I think that Brian Kelly is going to enact all things that Ed Orgeron wanted to but couldn't. When you have discipline and focus in your team, you win championships. They had it in 2019. A lot of that came from Joe being a leader to all the rest of the guys. It came from this team this year in Georgia, N'Kobe Dean, Stetson Bennett, etc. 2020, Mac Jones, Alabama, Devontae Smith. You got to have that inside that program. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. That is the thing that I like the most. Tied with that would be going and getting more kids in recruiting from the state of Louisiana. There is no reason whatsoever that tight end Danny Lewis from Westgate doesn't have an offer already. I get that you had Jake Johnson. I understand that. The kid should have had an offer. Some may argue that Danny Lewis is just as damn athletic. Look, Jake Johnson's a difference maker, and I understand it. But Jake Johnson's not necessarily a traditional tight end. He's not. He likes to catch the football, be out in space. Danny Lewis will light your ass up. He'll light your ass up. The least, Robert, I think the least thing that I'm excited about is let me explain on this one. That one's going to get me in too much trouble. I really worry about quarterback. If you want to play Walker Howard as a freshman, if he doesn't want a red shirt, you want to get the lumps out of the way, get him experience, confidence, etc. That's one thing. I'm okay with that. Same with Garrett Nussmeier. I would have looked for somebody else in the portal. It's just me, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Wade says, do you think that we pull the wide receiver Lacey? I think that that's a toss-up. I don't know. Goldman Moore says, hashtag Ask Blake, does Noah Cain mean a young running back transfers? I've been saying it on this podcast for a couple of weeks now. I don't know the status of Amari Goodwin. I don't. I hear some things from some people and some things from other people. We'll see. Talented running back out of Alabama. Real speedster. I don't know if it changes anything, but I think it's a really good 1-2 punch. And look, Frank Wilson likes having three backs on his roster that can play. I love Kevin Falk to death. The running back rotation at LSU last 2 years was really bad. Was really, really, really bad. They're going to rotate backs in and out. If one back shows out, that's fine, but they're going to rotate backs. It's a Frank Wilson specialty. Rick says, hashtag Ask Blake, is Drew Sanders, linebacker at Alabama, worth considering by LSU given how shorthanded the Tigers are? Absolutely. Drew Sanders is the exception. Absolutely. Paul says, Paul Sharp says, sorry, any word on Wingo, the defensive tackle from Missouri? How do I want to put this? I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50. Now, he might commit. I don't know. But something feels a little off there to me. I don't know yet. I can't put my thumb on it. Bruce Steele says Hunter Johnson from Northwestern, no. Clemson gets beat out by Trevor Lawrence, goes to Northwestern, then hits the portal again. I watched that game against Michigan State. He couldn't bust a grape to save his life. JTN on YouTube says a snapper, really? Well, we had to. Quentin Skinner was academically ineligible. Holden Lee, we'll get to a couple more and then we're going to get out of here. Holden Lee says, hashtag Ask Blake, do you think McLaughlin might come back and pull his name out of the portal? I don't know. Brandon Reed says, looks like Wingo visited LSU today. That he did. Dane Bergeron gives us $5 via Super Chat. Thank you, Dane. He says, spot on with concerns for Miles Brennan's health. LSU needs some insurance at quarterback. I would say that's the least thing the biggest thing that I'm worried about. But if that's the case, then I think that means that Brian Kelly's doing some good things. If the concern is for me about the health of Miles Brennan and the quarterback position, then I think that you're doing okay. It means there's nothing off the field that's the problem. Guys, with all due respect, when's the last time we've had an off the field problem with LSU? When's the last time we had an off the field issue with LSU? Meaning you're hearing some bad shit going on. Funny how when somebody leaves that building, nothing bad's going on, isn't it? All right. Two more. Brandon says, hashtag Ask Blake, what about the Bama quarterback? Paul Tyson, Bear Bryant's grandson, for people who did not know that. I don't think Paul Bear Bryant, his grandson's coming to LSU. I don't think he is. That would be some shit, though. That would be some shit. Could you imagine? Paul Bear Bryant is rolling over in his grave that his grandson is transferring from Alabama. He's not going to play, though. I hate to say it, but he's never going to play. Robert Law says, hashtag Ask Blake, do you think players are using the portal to get NIL deals from current schools? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And the portal gives them the ability to do that. It's not NIL deals. NIL, let's save that one for another day. Charles Reed says the coach was the last off the field issue. And that's funny. Ray Ponov says Twitter Spaces tonight. I don't know, man. We're still doing a show. We'll see. All right, we'll see y'all again Saturday morning, or we might do one tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see y'all again soon. You guys have a good night. Read Rob Boudreaux's comment. I think Title IX fell apart. Hadn't heard about that, have you? All right, we'll see y'all again tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Have a good night. Don't forget our good friends over Richie Roche over at Roche Lawn and Landscaping, 225-937-7220, 225-937-7220. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow or Saturday morning. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.